just love getting to know people. And you are such an amazing comedian. Oh my gosh, I love your can't wait for you to do your thing every time.
Thank
I
you.
mean that. I didn't even say that for others to hear.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm seeing if we're live yet. Looks like we are.
Okay.
Facebook, hi. Guess who? Me, Sinbad? No, I'm kidding. That's an old picture. What's important today is our guest. She is some kind of force to be reckoned with. You can see her over there in the other square. Danna Kiel. Hi,
Woo!
Danna.
Hey, everybody. I'm Danna Kiel. So excited to be here.
I got it wrong again.
You are perfect. You're perfect. You're perfect. We're doing great. We're doing great.
Danna Kiel.
It's common. It's common. It's common. People argue, if you believe it, people argue with me. And I'm like, listen, my mom made the rules. I didn't make the rules. So so it's no problem at all.
Oh my gosh. Oh, if you ever get a chance to hear her, and if you're smart, you will die laughing. She is so incredibly funny. And let me read you her intro here. I'm so excited that I get her all to myself and I have to share her with you guys. What's up with that? Okay, Danna Kiel. How'd I do?
Getting closer, Dana, long end.
Why can't I remember? Danna Kiel. Danna Kiel. I have a brain that won't quit. Oh, well, it just did quit.
You just did it perfect, though.
Danna Kiel brings Southern wit, blended with Gen X soul, and West Coast charm to every stage. I've never seen her not, so I know that's true. She serves up comedy to and from the ancestral plane, all while grounded in the daily realities of adulting, gut health, and in a civilized yet hysterical American experience. Danna Kiel. Did I get it right this time?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Danna Kiel is a VO talent, an actress, and the mother of one amazing son. You have to hear about this. You can see her at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, virtually, as well as Zoom shows everywhere and live shows real soon. She is the co-host of Flappers Comedy Club, The Weekly Flap. Selected for, get a load of all this, selected for the 2020 Laugh Riot Girl, New York Underground Comedy Festival, the IMG Comedy Festival, and the Comedy Therapy Comedy Invitational Sweet 16. Please welcome Danna Kiel.
Woo!
Did I get it right, Danna?
You did. You did it perfect. You did it perfect. You did it perfect.
Oh my gosh, Danna Kiel, hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm tagged on this. I'm so excited. We're live on Facebook. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right. Yay.
Yeah, my people, they understand that I mess up every interview somehow. So they just come and look for what I'm messing up. Today it was your name. I'm so sorry, Danna Kiel. Danna, talk to me about, where did you come from? You have Southern wit, so you're from the South?
I am. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama. And we were there till I was 12, in an incredible first half. And then we moved to New Orleans, Louisiana. So we moved further south, a little bit southwest. And I did all my formative years of schooling, including going to Tuskegee University, a historically Black college in Tuskegee, Alabama. And just really a proud graduate. Both my parents were graduates. And then like try to figure some stuff out. Got a math degree, like worked for the university. I think like anybody, you're trying to kind of find your way. So you're testing lots of water. So then I did that. And then I moved to DC and just kind of was a free spirit. As people say, I was finding myself writing poetry. And then I finally decided that I had the nerve to, pack up, what is it in the Beverly Hillbilly song? Pack up my things and move to Beverly. But I moved to not Hills, that is. I moved to just LA, area called Miracle Mile, which is an amazing area. Live with my aunt, who actually just recently passed away like 2 or 3 years ago. She lived to be 103. But anyway, amazing. But she was the first person to let me have a place to stay. And I just kind of started working. And honestly, Linda, I started out there was like the very, very secret place in my heart that wanted to be in front of the camera, that wanted to be an actress. But I hadn't really kind of figured it out. And I thought, well, I love writing and I love like working with people, collaborating. So, I'll work on directing. Huge fan of Spike Lee. Now Ava DuVernay exists. At that moment, she, hadn't come into prominence because this was 24 years ago. But I was looking at Spike Lee and he was just everything I wanted to be: politically outspoken, creatively gifted. But on the journey, the desire, and Linda, you're a comic, so you know this and you talk to lots of comics, there is a vibration, for lack of a better word, that comes up that you begin to have to really choose, how do I say, what you really want to do. Like I tried to hide that idea of wanting to be an actress and wanting to be in front of the camera until there just came a fork in the road. Either life could go as it had been going, or I could forge the path that I was meant to forge. And I realized in that period, in that moment, that comedy was the path that I was meant to forge. And so here I am. I started out doing open mics at an incredible studio here in LA, in an area called Koreatown, called the Dow Comedy Studio, owned by the great Bobby Oliver. Met a wonderful community, and then COVID hit. Linda, like, this is a quick question to you because there's more to the story. Like, when COVID hit, like, what was your first thought about comedy and doing comedy? Like, where were you in your journey?
I thought, if they're going to shut down the world, I have to make people laugh. And I'd done interviews before. And so there's a gal here in Vegas, Miss Arkansas, Cynthia Rudd,
Mm-hmm.
and I dialed her up on Zoom, and we were both so depressed about the world that day. And when we got done talking, we were both bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I thought, I'm going to keep doing this as long as COVID lasts and beyond. And it's taken on a life, and I thought, who knows how long this, and it's too depressing not talking and checking in. You know how we are, you hear about comedians taking their lives and things hit them harder than other people. And I just wanted to, it started out just wanting to check in on people and cheer myself up and focus.
And so as a result of, I think, everybody who is a comic, their desire to do that, obviously in LA, there are a lot of studios that are driven strictly by comedy. So the revenue was, quickly being impacted because we weren't able to come through doors. So Bobby took it upon herself to just say, the next thing I knew, she was having the mic online on Zoom. Everybody, like, we all wish we had invested in Zoom stock before the pandemic, because I had been on Zoom in my professional life for about 2 years. So I was very well aware of Zoom. I had a Zoom account. It was no problem. And so once, she started having a mic, then we started hearing about other open mics and hearing about other places to go and do comedy and then to audition for Flappers. It just began a beautiful, we'll call it, deluge of opportunity. So then I had also, before this, Bobby had said that, if any of us wanted to be on her upcoming shows, that we could be on her upcoming shows. She had also set up us coming in and being a part of her Laugh Riot Girl Festival. So I was submitting for my first festival, getting ready to play my first show, and all of these things were now gonna go through Zoom. And then I auditioned to be a comic available for shows through the Flappers World. And so everything just started happening together and at the same time, and just everybody and their mama was having Zoom shows. And wherever somebody, and every time you met somebody new, it's like you said, then can you come on my show? Because then we were all building content, and that's just pretty much what happened. So I just kept applying, kept saying yes, and kept whatever. And it's turned into, like you said, like 4 festivals. It's turned into, and even in the festivals that, like a festival that I submitted for that I didn't get in, I still ended up playing as a featured performer during the festival. Wow. Because, just because they were building these amazing shows. And so I'm honored and privileged and grateful, most of all, to, if it's okay to say, to God, the Most High, by any and every name, the vibration that has expanded and made a space for me to be a comedian and to work and to get my first corporate gig. And, all of the, right. And all of the ways that people are innovating, making money. So people are monetizing this. It started out, well, there's no money, but there's been, gifts and donations and tips and, all kinds of things. And all while, Linda, my son is a senior in high school. So while I'm there was that great movie, Romancing the Stone. So while I feel like I'm romancing this amazing stone that's happening, I'm here like trying to sort out, there's no prom, we're getting cap and gown, we're making sure that all our books are turned in, and and then I had to go buy like a thing to HDMI cord my computer to the TV to watch, the day that we had waited for since kindergarten to watch it on a TV screen. He turned 18 in the pandemic. So everybody was doing drive-by. So we did a drive-by birthday party. Then we did a drive-by graduation thing. So it has been a year. That's all I can say. It's been a year.
Yes. Oh my gosh, what a whirlwind of a year for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know Miracle Mile and Koreatown very well. I lived there for a year. I love that area. It's a little known little pocket. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Dow studio, oh my gosh, I ran into Bobby through these interviews. Isn't she amazing?
Yes, absolutely. She's absolutely amazing.
If anybody hasn't taken a class or they're thinking about comedy or want to get better, that is one place that really has stood the test. So many people have testimonies about how good her training is.
It is. And just being a part of her mics and meeting other comics in that community, and her book, I don't have it next to me right now, but The Tao of Comedy, Embrace the Pause. That's what she teaches from. It's very powerful stuff. And I just so much just big up to Bobby, because that was just a blessing. And honestly, I was driving Lyft, Linda, and what happened was I had, everything is, I think the universe orchestrates, our and orders our steps. And I was getting a lot of great rides and, talking to younger actors and actresses. And a young woman one day got in the car. And I could feel how, great her energy was. You can always tell when you're going to have a good ride or not, or just a plain ride, nothing to write home about. And we started like kind of just bantering, but it was it was a good banter, a good conversation. And like not even 3 minutes in, she goes, "Have you ever thought about comedy?" And I was like, "It's all I think about."
Wow.
And she was the one who told me about Dow Comedy Studio. She was one that told me about Bobby immediately. And so I the moment hadn't come. I was building my nerve. I had started studying improv and sketch at UCB. There was a super blessing there. I'd become a diversity scholar there. So I was able to get there and take classes as part of a great program that they had. And then and somewhere in there, I had just started taking classes with Bobby, and it just all like gelled. Like I just say to everyone, classes are important. And in this time, I've taken a few Zoom classes, Pretty Funny Women, Jimmy Shin. Like, so I just feel like I've been blessed to get the best of everything. Going to Dow, working with Bobby, Lisa Sunstead, Jimmy Shin. Recently, I did a Flappers level 1 class, Renee Percy. So many amazing teachers, so many amazing teachers. And we're all, Linda, as you know, like we all read the Comedy Bible. So Judy Carter has been doing a lot of social media stuff. So there is like comedy's all around,
Yes. It's so easy to pick up new things, by watching and going to classes. We've had a blessing of everything being on hold, stuck at home, safe to be home with the, advent of Zoom. And so you're making the best of it, and it's showing. You get the fruits of the labor you've put in. And some people, they just think that Zoom is beneath them and useless. And when the world opens up fully, I think some of those like ourselves who have taken advantage of Zoom are going to have a huge advantage on stage.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think, just as something that I want to say, I think, people are like, well, you can't take classes to be funny. You have to, it is when you're in a class for comedy, and I pray that people will, that there are plenty of people who don't think that way. But when you're in a class, this is about a community. Like, this is not, it's what you're getting and what you're learning it's bigger than that. This is not about whether you can or cannot do. You're building a community. You're building friends. You're building a network. And that's, because you know, most of these courses, there's a handout, there's a book that they're all based in, but it's like, you know, Linda, I met you through being part of the Dat Fan community. And while certainly, you know, we didn't necessarily take classes with Dat Fan, but it was the importance of the community. And he does teach, by the way, but
Yes,
it's
he
the
does.
importance of a community that we've gotten a chance to be in. So for me, bigger than any of it, is being in a community
That's
and
right.
building community and building, and as a result of being in communities, there's confidence and comfort that is built. And the more confident we become and the more comfortable we become, the better our jokes are, the better our connections with audiences are. And that's what all of it's really about. Just
Exactly.
community, the three, we'll call it the three C's, Linda: community, comfort, and confidence. We'll call it that. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. And speaking of which, you know, in a community, there are certain ways that you should and shouldn't treat people, you know. And when you go to classes, go there to give, not to suck the life out of other people.
Yes, yes.
You know, like we're here to give to each other. You know, what's amazing, I think, is that when you give with like a pure heart, just to give, not expecting anything back, you get far more back than if you go in wanting something.
I agree. A lesson for all of us, a lesson, a reminder for all of us that go in to give, not to get, and you will get. That's the thing. When they say that the more you get in, you get. How do they say? You get from it. You get from something what you put in. You get out what you put in. Like
Yes.
the more you put in, the more you actually will get out. I was in Toastmasters, kind of as an approach to the stage. And Toastmasters is that way. It's the largest volunteer organization in the world, public speaking and leadership. But I was doing comedy within there. And what I learned about the Toastmasters experience was that the more you give into this organization, the more you will get from being a part of that community. So you're, oh my gosh, you're so on the money.
I joined Toastmasters not very long ago through Keisha Norton's group.
Ah, yes, yes. Keisha Norton, another great funny woman, great comedy producer, great comedian herself, great Toastmasters. Funny story, like the first time, I think, let me see, I went to a Keisha show before I was on one, and I have a neighbor who's a Toastmaster. When my personal LA club was still meeting in our previous meeting spot, a gentleman came to be a guest speaker, and it was my neighbor. And like maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, I see him walking down the street, and as he gets into focus, I think his name is Richard. No, Rick. As I see Rick get into focus, I was like, hey, Rick, what are you doing over here? I was like, do you remember me? I'm Dana from the Toast. And he's like, Dana, I live on this street. I was like, are you serious? Like, how long have you lived on this street? And he's like, X amount of years. Like at that moment was like 6 or 7 years. And I've been over here over a decade. We had never seen each other, never crossed paths. And then the Toastmasters thing happened. And then I look up in Keisha's show, there's Rick again. And then I get to be on the show. And now he says, Dana, you're doing it for the block. You're representing our street.
Dana on the block.
Yes.
Dana from the block.
Dana from the block.
That's cool. So, what's something that you've really been glad that you've been exposed to in the while that you've done comedy? Something like that you'll never forget that you got to be around.
Wow. There are so many. All right, so Jimmy Shin, who's a great comedy producer, I've been on some of his shows, and he's had like these A-list comedy headliners. So I've been on a show with Shang, I've been on a show with Jamie Kennedy, I've been on a show with London Brown, all because even though we're in the Zoom space, how everyone feels about it, these are things that it would take a while to be, in a room, if you will, with them. And being in a virtual room with them has been helpful. On the other hand, I did a show, Funny Ladies Power Hour, back in January. And there were only 4 or 5 of us on the show, but it was truly that. It felt like a very powerful hour of just funny women. I happened to be talking about, I had been working with some new material, talking about being a twin, and 3 of us on the show were twins. That was amazing. Flappers.
Do you know I'm a twin?
No, Linda, did I know that? Like, I feel like I should know that. Like, oh my gosh, because we've been on dad fan shows, and I've talked about being on there. And there's a guy, his last name is Seablum. I can't think of his first name, but he's a twin. Like, like it's always funny. I apologize. That's the thing about doing shows at home. Anything that happens in your house, my son walked by, which is all good. It's all good. But being a part of like these things, honestly, like I've been on good mics. I'll say this, it may sound, I don't want to sound like when I go to mics and I get to try something new, a lot of times I'm at mics and I'm just kind of like working out and cleaning up current sets. But one thing that I personally discovered that I like, Linda, I know this is going to sound odd, was like doing recaps. Like in the YouTube world, there's a big community of influencers who just recap stuff. Sorry, don't worry about it, son. Who recap stuff. They just talk about what they liked about it or what made sense. So the movie Frozen, 1 and 2. So 2 came out last year, and I think, and I'd never seen 1 or 2, and I decided to watch both. And on a mic, I actually talked about it, and it came out funny. And I just feel like I think open mics can be magical because it's not something that I would have ever thought would have worked. When I would see the recaps, I'm like, oh, they're not doing anything. Like, how do they think? And this is me being judgmental, like, how is that, but I would look at the following. So it's undeniable. I could have my opinion, but the followings were undeniable. But can I tell you, it is some of the most fun to recap stuff. I'll leave it right here. It's because you asked me one question. Flappers had me on a show that they called sci-fi comedy, and it was a Lord of the Rings. So that was like, maybe, I can't remember which came first. I can't remember whether I did the Frozen recap and then did the Lord of the Rings recap. But one of the most fun shows I've ever done for Flappers was that sci-fi comedy. And the first thing I thought was, how did I even get picked for this show? Like, do I need to, like, he doesn't know, I don't care anything about, at least I thought I didn't. I didn't think I cared anything about sci-fi. And my joke even that night was Lord of the Rings. I said, how can this be called sci-fi? I said, there's no tech, there's no electricity, like there's nothing in this movie. Like, this is Bible-fi. These are all Bible stories, or like, anyway, I just had, but it was, I would say that that's been a great discovery, to discover more about who you are and what is your brand of comedy and what you can share. Those experiences have been some of the greatest.
Yes, absolutely. And you were speaking about being a twin. If it wasn't for Zoom, I wouldn't have brought out any twin material and worked on it. I'd have never thought that's important to anybody to hear.
Me neither. I agree. We're twins. We are twins right now, because it's not that I love my sister, of course. I just never thought of the jokes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
and Renee Percy, the great comedian, she's LA, Burbank, whatever based, but from Canada, started talking like, you've got to do more twin jokes. I was like, okay. And I have, and it's, it's been fun. It is
fun. It is fun to do it. I just turned 70 years old, and my favorite twin joke is, I can't believe it, March 19th, that was a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. And I said, my twin brother has the nerve to turn 70 years old.
Right.
I'm only turning 21 times 3 plus 7 because math confuses people.
Right. Speaking of math confusing people, did you know, like, I don't understand why we have so many streaming channels with the plus sign. I'm like, did you guys not like this country, everybody gets so mad at math. I'm not saying it right. Everybody gets so mad with math. So how is it that every streaming channel has a plus sign? Like, I don't know. That's I guess it would be worse if they all had a fraction. That would be,
I love throwing math into my comedy. I'm horrible and I hate math, and it's never helped me. And now I'm finding all kinds of jokes where I'm throwing math in, and for some crazy reason, people think it's funny when the old lady does math, and I hate. Who'd have ever thought?
Mm-hmm. I apologize. I was gonna say that's awesome. I didn't mean to interrupt. That's awesome. I love math, and when I do it in comedy, it does not seem to go over well. So I'm gonna keep watching your magic, Linda, because I want to make math jokes, but they don't always, as comics people, yes, we say things that don't get laughs, and we have to figure out what's going on.
It's so crazy how some things you think they're so funny and then you can't figure out how to get other people to laugh
Right.
or the
And
kind of laugh you want.
the kind of laugh, because here's the thing, this may sound weird to your audience. I don't think that there's anything that's not funny as much as one hasn't figured out where the funny is and how to expose it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of the in a class, they were just like, it's not always that the punch is bad. Sometimes the setup is not there. If a joke has not been properly set up, the punch doesn't come through, and people assume it's a problem with the punchline, and it's sometimes a problem with the setup. What do you find when you have thought that a joke would work, whether it's on a mic or on a show, and it doesn't? Where do you go in your like workshop tool to work on? How do you fix that, or how do you deal with that?
Well, like for one, I got on a show here in Vegas. It was live, a big room, and it was like 30% fill. And I started off with a Holocaust joke
Mm.
because the host was Jewish
Mhm.
and I'm Jewish, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I thought that the audience would that would slowly wean them off the Jewish stuff and then I can get to my material. And they were not buying it. like I had to go back and go, you missed the boat. You did not come out and let them get used to you and slip it in later. You started out with that.
Got it. And that's so timing, so not just the comedic timing, but timing in your set. And I really, really learned the importance of that. Like different teachers, everybody's trying to teach kind of the same points. And I finally got that. I got it from a couple teachers, but that's a thing. That is a thing. Like you have to come out and get people on your side. And identity comedy, or as I would, the term is outward and inward. And so you really start, you don't have to self-deprecate, but you start with something that will get people on your side if it's a joke about yourself. I lately, in a show that I did this week and a couple weeks, I was wearing this lovely, really lovely yellow turtleneck, and I had like a red ribbon on my hair. So the first thing I said is I was like, hey, did anybody watch the inauguration? They were like, yeah. I said, I'm giving you my best Amanda Gorman, because she wore this beautiful yellow coat with this red, and I did that. And then like another show, it was after Coming to America 2 had come out. And so I had my hair up with this ribbon and, this big, and I was like, hey, you guys, I'm giving you my best Vanessa Bell Calloway from Coming, and everybody felt, because they recognized, and as you said, then we were all together, we gelled. And from that moment, now go,
Yes. I love when I'm in a live room to get the audience laughing before I take the mic. That's been something fun to sit and think about. Like I was on a show and the host was introducing me. It seemed like eternity amount of time. Like I'm not, you don't need to say all that really. Just say my name, And he he says on and on with my accomplishments and like, enough, I don't even want to hear it. And so I'm sitting there going, I can't wait to get on stage. So I started, how a dog will move their feet and they can't wait they're scraping their feet. I started doing that in front of the audience. Like, I can't wait to get, and they were laughing before. So every single thing I said, whether it was a good setup, good punch, they were laughing because I got them laughing before I took the mic.
Right. You guys came together. Like you said, we got to get them on our side,
Yeah. But like one of the things, I don't know about you, spoke about self-deprecating humor. I'm horrible with that because like, I don't know where the line, I would rather make fun of myself than another human. I will throw myself under, I have thrown myself on the floor to make a 5-year-old girl in, church laugh and stop crying. And I broke a rib that day, throwing myself on the floor. I'm so self-deprecating, and I don't know when it makes other people uncomfortable. I don't care. I just want to, like, if I have to throw myself under the bus to make you guys laugh, I'll do it. And I had to hone that in. That was a huge, I would make people in the audience uncomfortable being self-deprecating. Have you ever done that?
You know what? I was on a mic and I was working on that twin material, and I talked about whatever I said. They were like, well, Dana, be careful, because even though you're making these self-deprecating, jokes because I was, I was naming that my sister is the overachiever and I'm the underachiever. And someone said, but we still want to see you win. So be
Yes.
careful. We still want to see you win. And I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay. And I don't want to, because you don't want to. Comedy is, in that regard, it can be delicate, Linda. I don't know if you find that. And the slightest thing if you turn people off with the slightest thing, it's hard to turn them back on. And what I find is it takes little to turn them off and a lot to get them turned back on. Like if they slip away, you've got to, you got to start, I don't know, you got to pull out a clown suit to get them back, and so I mean, but the masters do it. They're like, oh, come on, whatever people do. But as someone who, I'm barely 2 years into this as a focused, like I feel like I've been making people laugh, and you may feel this way a whole lot of my life. Even now when I get on shows, my college buddies will say, we always thought you were funny. We didn't know that you didn't realize you were funny. And in Toastmasters, I tell people they have, and you know this, there are humorous contests. In fact, there's one this Saturday in the district. You're in the Keisha's Club, so there's one it may not be her area, but the area that I'm in, there's a humorous contest this Saturday. And I think I've won 3 or 4 times, and actually gone to the district level. So I feel like I've always gone for the laugh. A Toastmasters humorous speech, depending on how you do it, can be different from like a 5 or 7 minute set. Although I have to tell you a secret, Linda, like when I would finally, like I would win at what's called the area level, then I would win at the division level, and then I would go to the to what's called the district level, the highest level, and their speeches like came out more like comedy sets, and those are the people who would win. So it left me always kind of like, well, that wasn't a speech, that was really a comedy set. But in that environment where judges are the ones deciding, it's ultimately, which is our business, Linda, what connects with audiences. Ultimately, whether you put it in a salad bowl, a mixing bowl, or a shallow bowl, does it connect with the audience? And that is what will come through. uh,
Yes.
on any
So are you single or married? What's your
very,
status?
oh girl, so single. I'm so single. Stray cats don't even follow me home. I'm so single. The only dates I go on are in my journal. I'm so single. I had a standoff with a black cat like 2 nights ago. He was just like, no, and then she was like, you go. I was like, no, no, you go. I mean, like, so single is what I say. I don't even get cat calls. Like I am super single.
You're hilarious. So the reason I asked is, have you struggled with what to say to get married people to want to listen to you? Like, I don't know why, but I feel like, I need to I've incorporated stuff to make it interesting for young people, for millennials, without cutting them down,
Right, right, right.
But I haven't figured out really what to say to married people. Have you figured that out?
You know what? Admittedly, I don't target them or not. So like I'm not targeting single people over married people or vice versa. So I certainly would not, I don't know that I could, what's that word? I don't know that I could qualify, and obviously making a joke about marriage because I've never been married. The only thing I can say is how afraid I am of getting divorced, which I have some notes on it. I haven't figured out how to put it out there in the world because I'm like, maybe that's why I've never been married, because I'm more worried about being divorced than I am about being married. But I have, I think what makes anybody laugh is just the everyday struggle. So the short answer to your question is, haven't figured that out because I hadn't really honestly made a distinction. But that's something to think about. Like, what is so single humor versus married humor? I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't touch it just because I just don't know the experience. And Rodney Perry, great comedian, he said he was helping a workshop once and a girl was making a joke about children or about having children. And everybody was giving her tips on making the joke funny, but he ultimately asked her, but why are you making the joke? And he then drilled down, do you have children? And she was like, no. And I think there's a challenge in finding authenticity in the humor around what I will call big rocks. It's not as though you can't tell a joke about something you've never done, but I think big rocks like marriage, big rocks like children, I think if you don't have those experiences, you can't, that those jokes, it's hard, there it is. It's hard for audiences to connect with you authentically depending on where you place yourself in the joke. Like if I made a joke about marriage, it would be about my observations. It would never be about da, da, da. I would just be like, hey, married couples, I noticed da, 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 da. Can you all shed light on that? You know, but I'm a little terrified, you know, honestly at this moment, and we'll change that, of like trying to target, you know, married.
Yeah. I was married for 7 years to an army guy,
Not,
and I put 2 jokes in my set this last month about being married
mm-hmm.
back in the day,
Right.
and how I wanted to kill him.
I can't imagine that anybody would not be able to relate to that. Everyone had to relate to that. That's just relationships, period. That's just relationships. So
So that's been kind of fun, but like I haven't really tested it out in mass yet. So we'll see where it goes. And then like the twin stuff you do, how many twin jokes do you have?
I think there's about, what is it? Three solid? Three solid. There's some what do you call it? There's some riffing, some tags, but I just talk about the then and now of it, Linda. I talk about how when you're little girls and you're 5, all of that stuff is looking alike and sounding alike is very cute. And I don't have on my glasses today because I have on contacts, but like wearing glasses. I even talk about having sideburns and having low self-esteem. But then when you're over a certain age, it's not cute. Like when people say twins, then you're not looking at these cute little kids or little girls in red velvet jumpers. You're looking at 2 grown women who still wear glasses, who still have sideburns and are both single. And so I talk about that. I talk about the naming, like, you know, how do you come up with a name? Like my sister's name is Donna, and my parents were like, buy a vowel, a long A, Dana, you know, trying to, the naming situation of it all. So and then I have, let me see, there's one, what is the other one? Oh gosh. Oh, people, did we trick people? Did we trick boyfriends in particular? And I was like, we were good girls. There were no boyfriends. There was no one. So yeah, so that's, I think there's like, what if I'm counting, there's 3 solid, but there's more. I believe there's more. I just have to kind of take a little time with it, you know, and take some time with it.
My brother gave me, I think my brother is funnier than I am. He just won't do stand up. And he gave me a line. He said that you are me in drag.
That is funny. That is funny. That's funny. I was on a class with a guy who was a twin, and Mike said that one of his jokes was that he had better boobs than his sister, you know, and that she had, I don't know, like, you know, it was that sort of thing. Your brother is funny. I don't know. Like, I feel somehow like it's funny because you are a twin, but then there's the part of me that feels like that's a little deprecating. You know, whatever, but it is funny because you're a twin. I think that's the only reason that the joke works, because you're a twin.
Yes. And like you got to make, I think if you're going to go on about it, you got to make it relatable to those in the audience who aren't twins. Like, yes. Oh, you think you're getting by easy. You know, you got a doppelganger out there somewhere, you know?
That's true. So, and people have told me, even though I have a twin, people have said, but you also have a doppelganger. Like I've seen, like I used to wear my hair really, really short. So people have said that they've seen, you know, women. Anyway.
Yeah. But, you know. Well, everybody should be lucky enough to be as pretty as you are.
Come on, we're twins. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So pretty. Well, so what are some things you're trying to accomplish in your public career? So you have directing, acting, improv,
all
comedy.
Of that. I'm like anybody. I want to get on, I always use the technical term. I want to get on wider distributive mediums. I want to be on television, whatever that means. I want to be on some show that streams to millions of phones. I want to connect with people. Um, and one of the things that I'm proud to do in my work, and I want to grow to do, is connect with people around challenging topics. And because if and I heard the comedian, his name is Michael Coe. He was someone that got COVID early on and he was in the news. He was one of the first people hospitalized. He was the first person hospitalized in Burbank with it, and he's a comedian. He's half Black and half Filipino. And so he talks about that. But he said, and I just was watching this on TV a couple nights ago, he said, if you're making people laugh, they're listening.
Wow.
And I quote and end quote, and I meant to actually put it up. If you're making people laugh, then they're listening. And that's my goal, to get us to listen more to one another. And prayerfully, to connect across, obviously in politics, they say across the aisle, because our country, the United States in particular, has a lot of work to do around issues of equality, equity, racism, diversity. And as someone who is, in the larger scheme, a part of, underserved and, groups without equity, as an African American and as a woman, we have to listen. And it's not, and I'll be frank, Linda, it's not us, it's the ominous they that have to really listen. And I feel strongly, I know that if I'm making you laugh, you're listening. And then there's a way for us to connect. So that's what I
Absolutely.
want to do. I want to be in movies. I want to be on television. I want to be wherever I can make small audiences and big audiences laugh. And so I pray, I think I have all the dreams. I want to host the Emmys, the Oscars, whatever. I want to host any of those shows, if they're looking at, if they have no problem with gray hair, or maybe we'll color it, whatever it is. I want to do all of that. But I would love to, at a very, I said, on a wish list, I would honestly, I'm an old school kind of girl. I love Lucille Ball. I love Carol Burnett. I love Marsha Warfield. I love Shirley Hemphill. I would love to be a series regular on a TV show and be in your home weekly, making you laugh. Tracy Ellis Ross, you know, that's what I would love to be doing. Regina Hall, even Issa Rae. Like, I would love to be somewhere that I get to be on a screen every week, connecting with people.
That's so great. I'm so glad you have great aspirations and you're capable of going after them and accomplishing them. So yay, I'm team Dana all the way.
Thank you. I currently host a podcast, so I feel like that. I love that. I'm a big Whoopi Goldberg fan, and I was roasted. The great comedian roaster, his name is Jeff Ross. I just learned about Jeff Ross recently, but I went to a show last Monday, and we were in this space. It was an outdoor show, and I was standing under a heating lamp. And because I was like at our table, the heating lamp wasn't cold, and he's like going around the room like roasting people and roasting the room, and he's like, well, we got Whoopi Goldberg over there under the heating lamp. And I was, for me, I was over the moon, because that's like the greatest comparison.
Absolutely. Yes. So he was at something that you were at, an event you were at.
It was what is it? It was called an Employees Only. That's what the show was called, Employees Only. And it was him, it was Shantae Wayans. There was a great comedian who writes for the David Spade show named Sarah Tiana. I had never heard of Sarah before, but she was amazing. And Jamie Kennedy was also on the show. I'm trying to think, those are the names that are off the top: Jeff Ross, Jamie Kennedy, Shantae Wayans, Sarah Tiana. There were more comedians. There were definitely more comedians. But those were the standouts for me. And it was outdoors, so it was an outdoor show. We were COVID safe. Although I've had one shot, and we were COVID safe, and all that good stuff. So yeah. And he was just roasting. He was doing what he does. And so I was excited. I was excited to be roasted by Jeff Ross.
Totally. That's so cool. I hear he's really nice, and that's just his persona. So
yeah, he was. I got to like say hello after the show, and just a quick hello. But yeah, he's very nice.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. So the name of your podcast and where can people see it?
Therapy of the Absurd. Thursdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific. YouTube, Periscope, Streamyard, Facebook Live, and then uploaded to Spotify and Apple after that. So everywhere that you can find podcasts, you can find us. Also Periscope, if I didn't say that.
You did.
Okay.
I got YouTube, Periscope, Spotify.
Okay. Facebook Live.
Okay.
And Streamyard is our hosting platform.
Okay. Wonderful.
And I think that's Twitch. I always forget about Twitch.
Okay, perfect. And the YouTube channel for you, what is that?
Therapy of the Absurd.
Same thing. Okay,
Same
perfect.
thing, yeah. So it's I had to think for a second. Yes, Therapy of the Absurd. It does. The link, I don't know if the link is that, but that's the channel.
So tell me about the name Therapy of the Absurd and the podcast nugget.
Humble brag. I created the name. I came up with the name Humble Brag. It just popped in my head. We were actually going over a ton of names, and then all of a sudden it just flashed in my head. Therapy of the Absurd, because I've heard the term theater of the absurd, and so I thought Therapy of the Absurd. So it's 4 comedians: myself, Stephen Bowman, Stacey Inez, and Dan Ochoa, 4 bubbling comedians who want to talk to more comedians and do bits and just have a lot of fun and talk to influencers and just really things of all things comedy. And so we're weekly for a couple of hours. We're live, and that's what we do.
That's so cool. I'll have to go on YouTube and subscribe to Therapy of the Absurd and watch your podcast. And you say it's on Thursday nights at 8 to 10?
8 to 10 tonight. So come get your therapy, you guys. Come get your therapy with us.
It's tonight. I'll watch it tonight. I got nothing going on. I'll be watching it.
Joanna Goslin is one of our guests. You and I talked about Joanna earlier from Oregon. She's one of our guests tonight. So.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So what nugget would you like to leave as far as the pandemic has been horrible around the world? It's devastated families and businesses. But out of it, besides Zoom and besides what you've gathered relating to your son graduating from high school at home and your comedy taking off in spite of COVID, what do you see as something in the world that's become better or hope for the world because of the pandemic?
I just would say, follow your dreams, because your dreams are real. Follow them. And to just stay as connected as you can in the ways that you can. Nothing is promised. In the last 6 weeks, I've lost 3 friends, only 1 to COVID, but 3. And of the 3, 2 I had just been connecting with by phone, working together on stuff, like talking through. One of them was one of my greatest champions for voiceover work, which I do, and the comedy. So follow your dreams, because they are real, and stay connected to those you love. Even if it's just a text that's a heart. People laugh at me. I was saying this on a live. There it is, Linda. Send love in any way you can. Everything that you can send matters. Even if it's just, we have our devices, even if it's just a heart emoji, let anybody, everybody, anybody on any given day, if you think of them, send them a heart, send them something, just to know that, let them know that you see them, you hear them. And even in this time where we can't physically see each other, do that. So just follow your dreams and stay connected to those you love.
I love that. I love that a lot. You've been such a delight to have on. So we know your YouTube and your podcast, and it's on tonight from 8 to 10 Facebook Live for 2 hours Pacific, 8 to 10 Pacific. Where else would you like traction on social media besides YouTube and Facebook?
Instagram, it's right there, you guys. Instagram, Danna Kiel, DANNAKIEL. Follow me, so that you can get more information about shows. I don't know how to do this part. I wish I had it up somewhere. I have a community phone number, and I want people to text me at this community phone number. I'll give it to you guys if you're listening, and then you can play it back. It's 323-629-8174. Like if you text me at 323-629-8174, you will surely be up to date on everything I'm doing.
Oh, that's so cool.
And because I'll get to text you. I'm on Clubhouse. For anybody who cares, I'm on Clubhouse, and it's Danna Kiel is everywhere. If you spell it right, you'll find me across social media. Twitter. I'm sorry, Linda. They all keep popping up like popcorn in my head. Twitter's the only one that's different, you guys. It's DJ Danna K. When I created my Twitter account, I wasn't aware of whatever I wasn't aware of. So I created something that may not be very easy to remember. DJ, those letters, Danna, Danna K. So on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, text me at that number. And that's it. That's it. I promise. I
One
promise.
last parting little comment.
Mhm.
You're going to be famous for your telephone bit. You know this.
Thank you.
That is spectacular. Where did you come up with, and how did you get to be so good at acting out the telephone bit? It always transports me to another world.
It was just what do they say? Pain plus time equals comedy, right? And so I was pained by the things that were happening last year in the news. I was pained by George Floyd. I was pained by Amy Cooper in Central Park. I was pained by sorry about that. There's the tech makes noise. I was pained by those things. I was pained because Snoop, the rapper whom we adore, was on live saying very mean things to Gayle King, the news person. Pained, obviously, like Snoop, in pain because we had just lost Kobe. But I just thought, how can we encourage a different choice from the Amy Coopers? Like, I'm not just indicting Snoop, but Amy Cooper, Derek Chauvin, all these folks. And then, so it just occurred to me, like, the first iteration was 1-800-call a historical figure. But, we're comics, too many words, long words, whatever. And I was standing in my kitchen one day and I was trying to think. I really wanted to refine the joke because I felt like I was onto something and I knew what I was trying to say. I knew that I wanted, even though, as the joke progressed, as the year progressed, Snoop certainly had a change of heart. Amy Cooper was charged. All these things were happening. But I thought if because I am a very spiritual person, and I thought that because spiritually and vibrationally and energy, this is the truth of the matter, Linda, we're always being influenced. I was like, what if we could like call the vibration and say, hey, go talk to that person. Hey, go talk to that person. So then it was just like 1-800-call an ancestor. And I mean, the word ancestor, I was just standing over the sink washing dishes, which I should do more often. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Ancestor, not historical figure. And then I'll leave it here. And then I was on some shows where people were beginning to use props. They were beginning to, like, this one guy was a show that I was on, maybe Bobby's show, can't recall. And the guy, at first he had a microphone. Then he had a brush. Then he changed out like 3 times. And I thought, that is so funny. And I don't have anything. And so one day it occurred to me, you should get a phone. Like, just the ancestors were speaking. You should order a phone, like hop on Amazon, which we're all ordering to death. Every day is Christmas, and get a phone. And I looked and I found a little toy green phone. And then that's pretty much, and then that just, it was, we'll say it was here, and then that took it here,
Absolutely.
So,
if you ever get
anatomy.
a chance to catch Danna Kiel doing her phone bit, you will go, yeah, now that is a bit that's going to stick with you. Years down the road, people are going to say, do that bit.
And I'll be glad to do it. I'll be glad to do it. It put me on the map, and I'm trusting that it will continue to help me travel the world.
Yes. We've gone way over the 20, 30 minutes I had said. I apologize, but you're so interesting and I want people to get to know you. I hope you don't mind that we went long.
It's fine, fine, fine. I am going to run because I have to be at this other thing. And so I'm so grateful. Linda, thank you. And
Thank you so much.
we'll see you soon. We'll be on the show together. I love you. I'll see you
Love
soon.
you. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.